Talk with Ms. Lucer.
She is unrepresented, Your Honor.
Okay, you're not representing her.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we called a case of 22-239. Margaret Bruno, is it Lucer?
This is who you're calling right here, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, I'm representing the, authorized representative for the legal fiction. And I cannot cross the bar if you I can't cross the bar, you know that.
This case is a textbook collision between internet fantasy law and the real justice system. On one side, we have a grandmother who has fully embraced the sovereign citizen playbook, claims of secret citizenship status, refusal to cross the bar, and documents she believes override the court's authority. On the other side, we have a judge who's heard every variation of this script and is completely unamused. What makes this hearing fascinating isn't just the claims she makes. It's how quickly they begin to fall apart when even gently questioned. As the judge calmly applies procedure, you'll notice something important. The louder her arguments get, the less substance they actually contain. She leans on buzzwords like jurisdiction, contracts, and constitutional rights, but struggles to connect them to what actually happened in her case. And watch carefully, because buried under the speeches are quiet admissions that undercut her entire defense. Documents she signed, choices she made, actions she took. They all return to the surface no matter how hard she tries to rename them. The tension builds as confidence slowly turns to frustration, and frustration shifts into contradiction. By the end, the outcome isn't shocking because of some twist. It's shocking because of how avoidable it truly was. Stay with us to the end and tell us, was this defiance, confusion, or belief taken way too far?
Yeah, it's not as sophisticated as my hearing aids, but I can hear you this time.
All right.
All right, I just want to be clear that when I was here for the arraignment, first off, I never had a first appearance. Within 24 hours, I was incarcerated for 13 days without a first appearance. Bond was set.
And that's true because you wouldn't sign the documents at the jail. Until you sign documents at the jail, you don't.
Where is that written that you have to sign anything? Because I couldn't find it. It just simply says within 24 hours I would go before a judge. I had
You
felony
weren't properly
charges.
booked, so that's the way that was. But I'm not going to argue with that point. But go
Okay,
ahead.
well, I just want to get it on the record that I am here on a special appearance, and I'm just the authorized representative for this birth certificate. It has been federally authenticated, if you want to take a look at it. It has been certified by the state and federally authenticated. I am the owner of this SQQB. Do you understand what that means?
Not a clue.
Really? Okay. It means that I'm not in your jurisdiction. I stand on the land and soil. I'm under the public law.
Okay.
And I have a right to pass through service.
All right, so I take it you're representing yourself today?
No, I am presenting myself.
Okay. So you're not going to enter a plea today or work out negotiations or anything?
I'm not making any plea whatsoever. I have not consented to contract with this court in any way.
Okay.
I'm an American state national. I'm not a sovereign citizen. That was a hate crime under which I was arrested, and the arresting officer has since quit his job with the Jasper Police Department.
All right, well, say we can...
I have a file here that I have one prepared for both the prosecutor and for you, Judge, if you'd like to take a look and go along with me on what I'd like to bring before the court. My goal is that this case get dismissed with prejudice before I walk out today.
Well, that's not going to happen. All right, well, here's what we're going to do today. I'll look this over for you.
This file is not completed. Let me explain. All the highlighted areas, I met with the clerk of court, Greg Godwin, and the areas that were in yellow here, I expected that he would be able to provide the information for me to complete these documents. I am not able to mail them until I can get them completed. He suggested that I talk with, is it John Durham, or who is it, Durant? Am I getting that correct, Tabitha?
That's Mr. Durrett, the state attorney.
Durrett, okay.
Mm-hmm.
He suggests that I should talk with him as far as getting this information completed. He said he wasn't able to complete the information. Otherwise, I can hire somebody to get this information for me. So if this case is not going to be submitted, but the first letter in here is a fair notice and warning letter. And it speaks to what the issues are here. First off, it was a false arrest because I do have a right to travel. And then also there is no contract. The application for a driver's license does not tell anybody that you are trading a God-given right for a privilege.
Right from the start, notice the key phrase, she is unrepresented. This is where many sovereign citizen cases begin to derail. Representation isn't just about ego. It's about navigating a system built on rules, deadlines, and procedures. When defendants reject attorneys, they don't just reject help. They reject the person most capable of preventing exactly what's about to happen. Her decision to stand alone, armed only with internet-downloaded legal theories, sets the tone for everything that follows. Ask yourself, is this bravery, distrust, or a complete misunderstanding of what courtrooms actually do? Let us know in the comments.
Prosecutor Travis Munden did not act for 8 days. He allowed me to sit in jail for 8 days with felony charges hanging over my head, of which you put a $38,000 bond on me without my participation. Again, that was a violation or deprivation of due process. The felony charges were bogus. I'm an international notarial witness for the United States of America, unincorporated. I had those the driver's license on my phone and birth certificates because I do remote notarization for people. I had a right to have that. I had it by permission of the people that sent it to me. The prosecutor, Dana Brady Giddens, she failed to act for 6 days. On July 1st, Travis transferred it from the felony side over to misdemeanors. She sat on it for 6 days. I sat in jail for 13 days, not even knowing what was going on. And it wasn't until after I got out of jail and I called her, and while I was on the phone, she goes, "Oh, here it is." She asked me what my name was, and she goes, "Oh, here it is," and she opened it while I was on the phone. So Travis sat on it for 7 days. Whatever happened to due process? Don't they have a responsibility to act timely? Because I know I do. I was kidnapped and taken to a prisoner of war camp. I had no choice in this, and I'm an American. I'm an American state citizen. I stand above this court. I stand above this for-profit corporation. First time that I saw you, sir, was 44 days after my arrest. And again, my Americans with Disability Act rights were violated in that you made no accommodation at all for my not being able to hear you. So as far as I know, I never did put in a plea. I have not pled in any way whatsoever. I have not consented. I have signed absolutely nothing. I signed no citations. I have had communication with Tabitha and Dana. We have been writing back and forth on our 72 rule of response, and I can't get answers out of them. They keep telling, I ask for documentation, and all I get is no documents responsive, no documents responsive, over and over again. I ask her for her oath of office on Florida letterhead, nothing. I get a scrap of paper. I ask her for a signed contract on my side, I get a citation that's not signed. The citation wasn't even signed by the arresting officer, it's by somebody else, and it has comments in it that says I said something, and I would appreciate eye contact, sir.
In sovereign citizen mythology, the wooden rail in a courtroom supposedly separates free people from corporate entities. In reality, it's just a physical divider for order and safety, not a magical legal force field. The judge's reaction says it all. No argument, no debate, just calm acknowledgement that the case will proceed with or without theatrics. This is a recurring pattern today. Symbolic gestures used as if they carry legal weight. Spoiler, they don't. But they do slow the hearing down and test the judge's patience one step at a time.
I don't appreciate being ignored by the court. So anyway, I didn't sign anything. I have not contracted with this court. I haven't contracted at all. And why? Because I don't need to. I'm not under these statutes, rules, regulations, codes, ordinances, mandates, and all the rest. I tried to explain that to the public defender here that you assigned to talk to me. And then basically everything out of his mouth came out right out of this hate crime document called Law Enforcement Guide to Sovereign Citizens. I'm not a Moor. I'm not a Waukesha Nation. I'm an American state citizen.
Okay.
To call somebody a sovereign citizen is slander. To put it in writing is libel. Sovereign is a king, somebody who is governing, self-governing. Citizen is somebody who works for another. It's an oxymoron. I'm a private living woman. My responsibility is to balance the accounts of the public, the public all caps name, and to keep the public charitable trust in balance. Roosevelt put us on an all debit system, and these credits have been stolen from the people. And all I'm trying to do is my responsibility here. So I'm planning to subrogate this. If you look at the second document, or maybe you already have, and you've seen the list of people I will send it to. Governor DeSantis has been involved in my case. I have a letter here that was sent to him. If you would like to see that, let's see, maybe it's in one of the other files. Anyway, he has been involved in this as well, because he is also part of the problem here, in that he is not assisting the Americans within this state to be safe from the harm that is being caused by this system, by the law enforcement officers and deputies who are not educated as to who we are. I had sat down, I had noticed both the police chief and the sheriff on 2 different occasions. They have my fee schedule as to what I'll be charging when this is all over, and I have to come back and have my rights restored and my property restored. My car was towed from in front of the police station. That's where I was when all this happened. I was in talking to Chief Rickerson. I went in and I noticed both the chief and the sheriff, the clerk of court, and the property appraiser when I got here back in March, that I was an American state citizen and I'm not a U.S. citizen. They were both noticed. They've both been noticed twice. And along with that was the fee schedule of what I charge when my rights are violated. I was talking with the police chief for the 4th time. We have sat down and had 4 conversations on how we educate the officers to know the difference so people are not harmed on the side of the road. I wasn't even on the side of the road. I was parked in front of the police station when all this went down. I wasn't even in my car. This officer got in my face back in April, and he stood there. I was meeting with the police chief, Chief Rickerson. At that time, he was an interim police chief. And this officer barged into our discussion and got in my face and started spitting on me with his saliva. He was like this close to me, yelling at me, telling me, I'm a police officer for 25 years and I've dealt with plenty of people like you. And he went on and on and on, okay? No, he hasn't dealt with anybody like me because I know my rights.
Listen closely here. She shift from I'm the defendant to I am the authorized representative. This is a linguistic trick pulled from pseudo-legal seminars that claim you can separate your physical self from your legal identity. Courts, however, don't buy this for a second. If your name is on the case, you are the defendant, period. The judge doesn't attack or mock her. Instead, he simply proceeds under existing law. That contrast is powerful. She's playing a game of definitions. He's applying statutes. One operates on feelings and theory. The other operates on consequences.
And I studied this. Why? Because you could not get through the 2020 election and not know that there's something seriously wrong with this country. And I have seen this coming for many, many years. I studied it with my husband. My husband passed back in 2010. In July of 2016, I read an article that the Pope had relinquished our Social Security accounts to the U.S. Treasury, and I knew something had changed, something was up, and I went looking. And when I went looking, I found at least 20 organizations trying to help people come out of slavery, come out of this U.S. citizen slavery. You're a slave to the British Crown, which is the administrative arm, to the Pope, which is the financial arm, and to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, which is the military arm of the one world government. Well, I don't go with that because I serve a king. I serve the Almighty King. That is who I am. I am a child of the King. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a child of the King, and I have rights that were given to me, sovereign rights given to me by my Creator. And I live by the Bible. I don't live by any kind of religion, sir. I read the Bible cover to cover, and I do what it says. And when it says that there are 2 commandments in the New Testament that Jesus, or Yeshua, I prefer to call him by his Hebrew name, the 2 commandments, to love God above all things and to love your neighbor as yourself, I live by that. But that's a summary of the 10 commandments that are in the Old Testament, Exodus 20. And the first 5 commandments are how you love your Creator. And the second 5 commandments is how you love your neighbor. And I live by that, sir. And this officer had to break several of those commandments to put me into this system. He had to lie, and he had to steal my property. And if this is the system that this government or this for-profit corporation is trying to force on the people, then you guys should all be ashamed of yourself. I am asking, I know I'm not asking, I am demanding. See, a sovereign does not motion the court. A sovereign demands. I am demanding that this case be dismissed with prejudice because I'm going down for the count. I'll take whatever punishment you give me. And I think my 13 days in jail without signing anything, just for comfort, should give you an idea of the fact that I finish what I start.
And here it is, the cornerstone claim, lack of jurisdiction. Sovereign citizens often believe that by declaring a different citizenship status or invoking land and soil, they can opt out of laws they dislike. Unfortunately for them, location matters more than slogans. If you live in a state, drive on its roads, and interact with its officers, you are under its jurisdiction. Simple as that. The judge knows this, and you can almost feel the moment he mentally checks the box, standard sovereign script detected. From here on, he stops entertaining philosophy and focuses strictly on procedure.
I went into that jail, Your Honor. I was quite a surprise. I wasn't prepared for it. If it hadn't been that I took a couple in who were homeless, I probably would have ended up going home to a dead dog in a house full of crap. But that gentleman, the people that I took in who were homeless, called my girlfriend and said she didn't come home last night. Well, my girlfriend knew that I was on my way to the post office in Live Oak, and she knew I was going to stop by and talk to the sheriff. So first call she made was to the Suwannee County Jail. Second call was to the Hamilton County Jail, and she found me. I was sitting in jail. I've never been in trouble with the law before. Do you know what it's like for a 73-year-old woman to have to stand there and take her underwear off and stand in front of somebody else? That was so humiliating. You want to talk about rights? Let's just talk about basic humanity here. And I was given an orange jumpsuit. I don't look good in orange at all. I have to bring some humor so I can stop crying. I wore that jumpsuit in my underwear for 13 straight days.
That's nasty.
Because I wouldn't sign your paperwork, because I would not come in contract with this corporation. This for-profit corporation, you're not a government, let's be honest. Because I wouldn't come in contract with you, I suffered extremely. I was 3 days in a row, I asked for a sweatshirt, I was freezing. You got a swamp cooler in that jail. It's loud and it's cold. And every guard was wearing a jacket and every inmate had a sweatshirt except for me. 3 days I asked for a sweatshirt. On the fourth day, when I asked, the guard said, "You don't sign out paperwork, you don't get nothing." Yeah, that's real sweet. There's a camera right above the toilet. Yeah, that's real sweet. You're sleeping on a steel bed. When I went and signed their paperwork, they gave me a mattress where the fabric was touching fabric. I have a 9-inch spread, thumb to little finger, and I can tell you that the padding of that mattress lay within a lump. 12 inches by 30 inches. The very first day in holding, I had a bruise on my tailbone from sitting on a steel bed. You know, I'm used to a mattress and I have a memory foam topper on top of it. I like it sweet.
This moment is priceless. When she claims that driving is a God-given right, the judge responds with calm, razor-sharp logic. If it's divine law, show the citation. It's humorous, but it also highlights a much bigger point. Rights exist within legal frameworks, not personal interpretation. Courts aren't debates over whose belief feels stronger. They are structured systems relying on statutes, precedent, and evidence. That's why these arguments always crumble on contact with real judges. Emotion may win sympathy online, but in court, paperwork beats passion every single time.
I went without drinking water for 13 days. I drink on average almost a gallon a day. My dog and I consume a gallon a day. You get coffee in the morning, you get Kool-Aid for lunch and dinner, and you get absolutely no water. And the only water coming out of the faucet in the bathroom is hot water. Okay, this is inhumane. I was tortured for my faith. Why would I say that? Because according to Revelation 18:4, it says, "Come out of her, my people. I am one of his people." And that Revelation 18 is all about Babylon. And yes, I did the paperwork to come out of this Babylonian system. Matthew 6:24 says, "I can't serve two masters." Well, who gets the taxes? Who gets the first tithe? The government grabs it right out of your paycheck. You don't have a choice. Steals it right from God. We don't get to give God our first fruits. I don't know what your faith is, but that's my faith. I serve the mighty Creator. It was very boring in there. And they had some books, and I was reading on average 400-page novels every single day. But on the 5th day, the guards came in and took all the books out, so I had nothing I could read. And then the girls gave me some paper. I had 3 sheets of paper. I started writing and writing and writing, front and back, as small as I could. And when I ran out of those 3 sheets of paper, the girls in the cell on the other side started giving me paper. Why? Because I befriended them. We talked about our Savior. We talked about why we were there. I wasn't preaching. I don't preach. But I shared with them that, they got themselves in trouble. And the first thing they need to do is straighten out their lives and get right with their Creator. Because if they can do that, the rest will fall in place.